So there's some huge news in the world of digital payments. PicPay, and I'm sure you've heard of them, just made a massive announcement. They're planning to go public. But, what does that actually mean when a company makes that leap from private to public? And why should you care? Well, that's what we're going to unpack right now. Right, so this question is really the heart of the matter. Going public, it's a monumental shift for a company. I mean, think about it. It goes from being owned by just a small, select group of people to being owned by, well, potentially anyone. Yeah, even you. You could literally own a piece of the company. Okay, so first things first. What was the actual announcement? What was that first domino to fall that kicked off this whole thing? And there you have it. This is the official starting gun. PicPay has officially filed what's called a registration statement. They filed it with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. This is the formal, official first step any company has to take before it can start selling shares to the public.
So this whole process has a name you've probably heard a million times, an initial public offering, or IPO for short. A good way to think about it is like it's the company's big coming out party, Before the IPO, it's kind of like a private club owned by the founders and some early investors. But after the IPO, bam, the doors swing wide open and pretty much anyone can buy a share and become a part owner. It's a massive, massive transformation.
Okay, let's dig into the nitty-gritty here. We know they're aiming to list on the NASDAQ, and the ticker symbol they want is PIX. Kind of catchy, right? But here's what's really interesting. Look at what's not determined yet. The price range, the number of shares, those are still big question marks. And honestly, those are the multi-million, maybe even billion-dollar questions. The final answers are going to depend on a couple of things. How excited the market is, and of course, what the SEC gives the final green light on. Now, you might think a company just decides to go public and flips a switch, right? Nope, not even close. It's an unbelievably complex process. And to pull it off, you need a whole team of absolute financial heavyweights. And just look at this roster. I mean, wow. We are talking about some of the absolute biggest names in finance. The firms you see listed there as joint global coordinators, those are the ones really leading the charge. And the others, the joint book runners, they have the super important job of getting out there, drumming up interest, and actually finding people to buy all these new shares. This is, without a doubt, a top-tier team. But wait, it's not just about the big banks managing the deal. Tucked away in the announcement was another little detail that honestly really caught my eye. It's a hint that a pretty major investor is already circling. And this right here, this is a big deal. A major investment firm, Bicycle Capital, has basically raised its hand and said, hey, we're interested. Now, that little phrase, non-binding, is important. It means they can totally back out if they want to. But still, it's a huge vote of confidence. It's a signal to the rest of the market that, hey, the smart money sees something here they really like. All right, so we've got the what and the who down. But what about the how? How does a company actually make this journey? Let's walk through the step-by-step process of going from a private company to a publicly traded stock. So yeah, the road to an IPO, it's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. It's more like a gauntlet, really. PicPay is right at the very beginning of this journey. They've just filed a statement. But now comes the really tough part, this incredibly rigorous review by the SEC. They're going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb to make sure it's all legit. And only if, and it's a big F, they pass that intense scrutiny can they even think about moving on to the next step of actually offering shares. And right at the heart of that whole offering process is this crucial document called a prospectus. Now, let's be clear. This is not some glossy marketing brochure. Not at all. It is a dense, legally required document that discloses everything. We're talking the good, the bad, and the ugly. All their financials, their business strategy, and every single potential risk they can think of. In fact, the law is super clear. This is the only official document they are allowed to use to sell shares to the public. Okay, so we've gone through the what, the who, and the how. But that leaves us with probably the most important question of all. Why does any of this matter? Why should you care about this announcement? Well, when you boil it all down, this move completely changes who gets to own a piece of PicPay. It's a total transformation from being this small, exclusive club of owners to being an open market where, potentially millions of people can buy in and become shareholders. And here's something I find kind of fascinating. The IPO itself perfectly reflects the company's own tagline. Think about it. By going public, PicPay is literally giving everyone the chance to give their money a new direction by investing it directly into PicPay itself.
It's pretty clever when you think about it.
And hey, remember we talked about that early interest from Bicycle Capital? I want to circle back to that because it's so much more than just a minor detail. It's like a signal flare being shot up for the entire market to see. When a team of professional investors, people who do this for a living, shows their hand this early, it can create a huge wave of confidence and build some serious momentum before the offering even officially starts.
So if we zoom out for a second, what's happening with PicPay is really part of a much bigger trend we're seeing. More and more of these financial tech companies, the apps we use on our phones every day, are going public. And that raises a really fascinating question for all of us, doesn't it? How is this going to change the future of investing when we can actually invest in the very tools we use to invest? It's definitely something to keep an eye on as this all unfolds. Thanks so much for tuning in for this explainer. We'll catch you on the next one.